and the responsibility. Because talking about the Palava Hut involves Joseph telling you about the Palava Hut and the work that you will be doing, giving the awareness in the community. There will be supervisors and everything, following up the process. You have people talking about counseling and everything, all that psychosocial counseling. The first question that we will be asking, or somebody will ask when you get out there, so what is the institution, or what is that institution that is leading this program? Where are you coming from? Though you're not directly involved, but since we're here asking you to join us to do this work, at least you need to know a bit about us as we know about you. And so when you're talking about the role, what in the first place is this Ignorance Commission? And what is our mandate that we have? Talking about, because we need to complaints also. We receive complaints on the field that we have Maros here and our other monitors here, but and our other monitor here in the county, what they do, they go around talking about human rights and you take your complaints. There's a whole big process. It's not just the two people you see here in Rivercess. So we just talk a little bit more about that, and then we also talk about how we work with civil society organizations and other institutions in the community, other people who are involved in human rights business. So that's how we work with them. And maybe just to say this, when I'm speaking, sometimes I speak fast. If you have any question, just put a hand up. We have a discussion. We're discussing together. It's not like a, say, teaching class, so we're just discussing together. We're sharing knowledge. Yeah? So at any point in time, feel free to come in with a question or suggestion. So to get off, we say the Human Rights Commission, it is, we say, a national human rights, it's the National Human Rights Institution of Liberia. When we say National Human Rights Institution, we're talking about the entity or the institution or the organization in every country that is very responsible, that is being responsible for promoting and protecting human rights. In that we support the government. Because human rights, all the different human rights we're talking about, they are found in different documents. Sometimes you hear people talking about the Constitution, you hear about the Constitution, first of all, took some of these rights from other places. Then you have different treaties, we call them treaties, we call them conventions, different ways to talk about them. And in all of these documents, the government is responsible to fulfill these rights, to make sure that you enjoy your rights, to make sure that no one takes away your rights from you. And as the Human Rights Commission, that institution is there specifically to check to make sure government is doing what it should be doing. Every country should have at least one of that institution, and that institution is set up by a certain framework, particular rules that you need, that you can set up that institution. So on that basis, we say the Human Rights Commission is that human rights institution of Liberia. You go in other countries, Ghana, Guinea, Sierra Leone, Nigeria, they have their own human rights commission there. So it's not just only in Liberia. We have human rights commission in other countries as well. And like we say, like I said to you, the main work of this human rights commission is to protect and promote human rights. That is the core work we do. That's the reason why we have people in the counties here, we have people in other counties around, we have people at head office. We are there to follow up on the promotion and protection of human rights. The part of the work we're doing here now, that you're going to be doing, taking statements from people, making awareness, you're doing both of them, where you tell people about their rights, because during the war, people's rights were violated. People's rights were stepped upon, other people felt bad. That's why the reason say, oh, you're taking advantage of me. If you ever look at that advantage you're talking about, rights people are talking about, some people never have food to eat, they took the food, they took from them, you have the right to food. So all these things are human rights. So as you go out there to create awareness about the Palava Hut process, we all try to bring peace. And once we have peace in the country, it means that people's rights will not be violated. Because these are some of the things that brought the war. So that is part of the role of the Human Rights Commission, to make sure we promote human rights and we also try to protect human rights. How do we work? We receive funding from government. Why it's true that we are independent? We're an independent institution, but we get money from government. Because we're not civil society. The Human Rights Commission is not a civil society institution, and it is not a direct government entity. But we receive money from government, we establish by law and everything, but we support the government and receive money from government to work. So we can say that sometimes you see there's just a small line. Like in a way we made a little different, just a little different from the code. The code people they are different and they separate the part of government, they got their own work to do, the part of the 1 to 3 branches of government, the judiciary. But we would just like that, almost like the chair arm there, the extra arm. That is the role that we play. And you know on the football field, you got a referee, right? You got a 2-team playing. You got the team A on the side, team B on the other side, the referee there. The referee is part of the game, but the referee not playing for team A, the referee not playing for team B. So you see it? So it's the same role that the Human Rights Commission play. We play that role of a referee. And then also, we established by law. Not like we do some NGO, you just go together in the community, you write your own law, you think you say no. When we say by law, it means the government, the legislature. You got a senator here, you got a representative here, where they go to meeting, everything, they say they are passed law. So some of the laws that they passed, one of those laws established the Human Rights Commission. And then we move on to the next stage talking about the history and everything, how we got established and all of that. But just before we go into more details here, when we fought all the wars, we started from 1990, we tried to bring small peace and everything, it still did not work, right? We got to 2002, 2003, then we tried finding a way to solve our conflict. We went Ghana. Almost all of those who are fighting the war in Ghana, the major players were in Ghana, and said, look, we need to stop this war. But in stopping the war, there are things we need to do to make sure that the war does not come back. So first thing, they signed an agreement called the CPA, the Comprehensive Peace Accord. That document was just saying, we're tired of fighting, we're not going to fight anymore, and we are brothers, we are sisters, so we're not going to fight anymore. We'll proceed like this, and we find peace with ourselves, right? We're not fighting, we respect one another. But while they were saying we respect one another also, they also said a couple of things. That one, we need to establish a Truth and Reconciliation Commission. We also need to establish a Human Rights Commission. The reason why they say establish a Human Rights Commission, there was one before. In 1997, there was one established. Charles Taylor established one Human Rights Commission. That was in 1997 called the Nigerian Human Rights Commission. But there were things that were short in it. Because you know the Human Rights Commission is supposed to be set up in line with a document called the Paris Principle. We'll talk a bit more about that when we go in front. The Paris Principle. So when the Lord told us that we need to put it in here, we need to establish a Human Rights Commission that will be in line with the document that should set up Human Rights Commission. So in that line, when the CPA had that discovery was done in August of 2003. August of 2003, that document was set up, and then we came back to Liberia. The act now, the law we're talking about, was signed in 2005, or passed in 2005 and printed into handbill by the government of Liberia. So that law repealed the 1997 law. When we say repeal, meaning they went to the first law, they said no, the law, it no longer existed. So we canceled the law and we put a new law. Like when the new government came in, when they took over in 1980, they went to 1985 to be there. They have Nigeria government, but 1985 they wrote a new constitution. So the initial constitution we have first, they put it away, and then we have a new constitution. So it's the same thing that this law brought in this new act that we have currently. And we say 2005, that act was passed, and it was written, like we said, in line with these Paris Principles. And these Paris Principles we're talking about, it is just a set of documents that says how such institutions should be set up. The same way we go to the schools here, Seston High is set up in a particular way. Because Ministry of Education, the government, like where they got a way that high school should be set up, right? High school should run. So the same way that Paris Principles say to us how the national human rights institution should be established in every country. So that document was signed in France, in Paris in 1993. That's the reason why it's called the Paris Principles. So they are just set up an agreement saying how national human rights institution should be established. So most of the things that you find in our act, they were put there because of the Paris Principle. The Paris Principle say you should have it. Then when you go into school, they say you should bring one uniform, you should bring one set of uniform, one dozen of copybook, and every student should have that. So if the student goes to school without a dozen or copybook, without a black pair of shoe, it means that the principal says, even we'll keep you here, we know you're not a full-fledged student here, right? So now we say school fee don't for you too. When you pay school fee don't for you for yourself. So the Human Rights Commission told us some of these things. But why the act was passed in 2005, we actually did not start working. This current commission did not start working until 2009. 2009. So they were trying to do the work to get, because they would say the government funding the institution. So the president appointed the commissioners, appoint people to work, provide money until so 2009. The first board of commissioners came into existence. So they came in 2009, they started setting up the committee, started working and everything. Because all these things that were happening as well, it had a part to do with the TRC. The TRC ended their work, and then the recommendations in there. When the TRC Act was passed, it says that all the recommendations that will come from the Truth and Records, that will come from the TRC, all the recommendations will produce, the Human Rights Commission is supposed to supervise it, to make sure these recommendations are implemented. And then part of those recommendations, there are 3 or 4 of them that specifically given to the Human Rights Commission to implement themselves. So our commission, the Human Rights Commission, we got a structure. The same way you go to the school, you go to the county, you got the superintendent, you got the magistrates and the different people around, you got the city mayors and other people. Human Rights Commission, we got the board, and we got the secretariat. Right? We got the board and we got the secretariat. The board, as per the Act currently, consists of 7 commissioners. One of those 7 commissioners is appointed as the chairperson. And the law says the chairperson must be a senior lawyer. Right? So one person is the chairperson. The remaining 6, among themselves, they will elect one person to be the vice chairperson. And then the other 5, they're just commissioners. All of them, according to the law, should have a bit of ownership about human rights. They shouldn't come all from the same place or same region. They should come from different backgrounds. Because that is what we call pluralism. So all the different parts of society must be represented there. Because everybody got rights, everybody must be heard. So they must be in a way represented in the university. And for the secretariat has 5 departments. 3 core departments and 2 supporting departments. Right? We got one talking about promotion, talking about awareness. That is the education, training, and information department. We got one talking about the actual protection, where they will take the actual complaint, they follow the complaint, they investigate it, and they come and give you result, and even follow up to help make sure that your rights are protected. That is the Department of Complaints, Investigation, and Monitoring. And then we have the other one talking about policies. While we talking about the awareness, we notice people rights are being violated. Don't we solve some of the problem? But they can say, if you say the fish, you say the cat shouldn't eat the fish, tell the fish not to smell. So there's this department also that will be writing some of the laws and things. Maybe you say the reason why every time the people in Rivercess complaining about the right to justice, because maybe the law there, the law weak, the law not correct. So that department will write policy opinion, look at the law, write opinion on the state government, you need to change the law. You need to do the lawyer and not in line with human rights. So that department is the Department of Legislative Assistance, Treaty Matters, and Law. That department is there. The 2 supporting departments that we have is the Department of Planning, Internal Monitoring and Evaluation. You know, anything you do, when you plan, they say you fail to plan, you're planning to fail, meaning you're not going anywhere. So you're not doing anything. Then you say you're going down to go do awareness. You plan, you do anything, that's when you go to how you go there. You're not saying anything to you're not getting any result from them, right? So you have to plan. So that department is there to plan. And then when we say your evaluation, be part of it, it means you just come and check the work. All the things you say you will do, they say, are you doing it? Are you achieving it? So we're talking about that one, we got that unit there for. And then we have the administration. And you know, everything you are doing, you need money being inside, you gotta employ people, all the other small somewhere. Somebody gotta be doing all the things, so we say that department is there, administration, budget and finance. And all of these departments put together, they're headed by what we call the executive director. So the executive director is there. The executive director is the secretary. Are we together? So I think when we leave from here today, we can know what is the Human Rights Commission. We can tell somebody how the Human Rights Commission looks like, right? So now we go to the mandate. That we talk about the mandate briefly up there, but where specifically the mandate of the Human Rights Commission comes from, and what are the main things that are in there. So let's try to break it down small to say the mandate we talked about. What specifically are we talking about? What are some of the things the Human Rights Commission do? When we say mandate, we're just talking about the things that the Human Rights Commission is supposed to be doing, right? Like you have a child, you say the child get your work to do. What are the things the child is supposed to be doing there? Get out in the morning, draw water. You are the one that will sweep the house, and I will go in the market. You are the one that will cook the food, to wash the dishes, and to wash the clothes, right? And all of that thing you talking about, maybe you say that they want maybe the pa and ma sit on the girl, you say they decide that. So the mandate that you talking about come from a pa and ma. So in this case, the Human Rights Commission got work to do. That mandate is coming from somewhere. So there are three basic reasons that we're talking about here. You say the act. That act that was passed in 2005. The act that was passed in 2005. It tells us where that mandate is coming from. And then the Paris principles that we talked about briefly, and also the Truth and Reconciliation Commission report. So everything that the Commission is doing is basically in that line. When you pick up our act, if you go there, they have two places to talk about the functions, to talk about the mandate. They say the Human Rights Commission is supposed to visit prison, it's supposed to teach human rights everywhere, it's supposed to collect complaints, it's supposed to receive complaints. Everything you pick up the act, you see it there. Yeah? You see it there. I forgot to let my eyes at the yes, I was going to show it to you, but tomorrow, even when I'm doing the other prison, I will just show you a copy of the act, how it looks like, so you see it. So everything in that act. And then we talk about the Paris principles. The Paris principle says how these institutions should be set up. It says that these institutions should be independent. It must be established by law. It must be fully funded by government. Meaning government should be putting the money there. It shouldn't be taking instruction from government. Well, some money the senator can say, oh, you know how the senator here, so Human Rights Commission, you're going to investigate our case there. No. It says the Human Rights Commission should be independent. Even if the senator gets complaining about human rights, we'll look at it and say, we agree you senator about the first thing you human being. The person you complain about are human being. So we look at it and say, okay, we think we should investigate it more. If we shouldn't be investigating it, we'll not look at it. So the reason why you see the monitors in the countries here, if you listen to them, when you have an issue, you go to them. Everything you go to them, they will be able to tell you something, and they will help you to solve the problem. If you go in a community, somebody tell you they get human rights issue, you report it to them. They can help you with answers there. If they can't get all the answers, they will talk to the bosses in Monrovia, and they will get answers from there as well, right? Because all what we're doing, at the end of the day, we won't say that, look, because I'm human being, you shouldn't take advantage of me, your rights should be respected. Some of the rights we're talking about, you get right to free access on the road. They will, it's part of your right too. You don't be saying, oh, you come in the road, say you stay on the road 3 weeks. It's not fair. You even get good water to drink, not fair. Or somebody else look at you tell you put you in jail, you know, the police jail say because you police commander. And so now the police commander can do when you made them fair, you know, tell you put in jail. And we can say 72 hours, you may put you in jail for it. When you reach into the 72 hours, you may put you in jail Friday, Saturday. So see you want to tell you put your son. You may go soon money part, you may put you by your son. The other thing we say is not fair, Sometimes not fair. Or you may put you through that time reaching, you may tell you say to your other depot. They say, no, we have received a mayor, you kind of thing, and so much we can follow up on. These things, they are not fair. So now, even some of the law we get on the boat, are not fair. What the judge say, oh, because you didn't want, we'll sentence you to death. It's not fair. It is not part of the human rights violation. Because the reason why we're saying, read the TRC here, if you read the TRC report clearly told us that the reason why we have all of the war and things that happen in Liberia, people die. You know, some of the reports say 250,000 people die. So imagine the number of trouble we say our population at the time we were talking about around 3.5 million people. So we said 250,000 human beings die. When we said so no more human beings talking about so 3.5 million talking about now in every million now 250,000 people get it. So 3 million you talk about 250,000 people. The other half that 250,000 people, so you talk about 250,000 people we have. all the 14,250,000 people, one of that 14,250,000 people die. So you know, talking about all of 14 people, you have 40%, 1% die. It's still alarming, right? It cause for concern, right? So that tells us, they say that because human rights violation. They say because people's rights are not being respected. If you look at the report there, people's rights are not being respected. All of the crises we had here, you go to them, talk about, that's what human rights they talk about. Now this is now, you say, we get rights to eat. Food. They brought war here. People went to start demonstrating, the government started shooting people everywhere. During 1990, they said, oh, you shouldn't be crying, man, you shouldn't be madigo, man, you shouldn't be kissing, man, you shouldn't be bastard, man. They start chasing you. You got a right to your identity, you got a right to be who you are. So all these things, we say, that's what we get our money from. If you go in detail, talking about how the act was started, the full name of the act that I told you that is there already, they call an act to repeal the act of 1997. I told you how the 1997 act. So the new act of 2005, they just took away that one and created a new one of the Human Rights Commission. So one of the things that the Human Rights Commission can do, any situation of human rights, when we say that human rights situation here, you can go there and investigate. So we say we can take up any situation of human rights for necessary action. So either we can go investigate, or we can go say we stop this thing, or we can make recommendation. But once the human rights is involved, we can go there. Right? Any human rights situation involved, we can get in, that we're talking about, the human rights commission can get involved. The next thing, any complaint you have, you bring it to us, we'll hear you. Any complaint, that is the reason why we get it going, because we know it's not possible when you get a complaint, you get you from Cessna to go straight from Royal, right? So we got monitors in the county. You need to get the people number. Everywhere you go, talk about human rights, you need to give them number, you need to give the people number. So because sometimes we know, get me from nowhere. Somebody get cases way from nowhere. Maybe you didn't get time to work. But I didn't get called, oh, I got complaint here. I get issue of human rights here. You can find a way and you can take a complaint and start talking. Sometimes it doesn't mean that only you, because you got a problem, so you will lay a complaint. Maybe somebody will come and lay that complaint, we take that case, or we hear on the radio, we take that case, we see on the Facebook, we take the case. Also, we outside can every person say, oh, they want a human right, we get inside it, right? The next thing, we can submit report to government. We finish doing all the things here, on the app, we're supposed to submit quarter report, meaning after every 3 months, we'll submit one report. And at the end of the year, we'll submit a report. The report, either it can be on, at the end of the year, we do a work on the human rights situation report. So we do one report, we say the whole year that passed, right? Here's how human rights business in the country looking like. When it comes to freedom of expression, when it comes to freedom of assembly, freedom of religion, all these things come out, we say freedom of expression means you get ready to talk. Nobody should disturb you for talking what you want to talk. Freedom of assembly, you get ready to talk anywhere. Somebody shouldn't say, oh, you're going to CDC meeting, not go there. You're going to United Party meeting, not go there. You're going to NPP meeting, not go there. You have the right to go anywhere. You might again say, oh, you shouldn't be Muslim. You shouldn't be Christian. Or you shouldn't join the Sunday bush, the poor bush. Nobody gets freedom of association. So all these things, they are there, right? And then we also talk about preparing reports on the national situation. Then we're talking about doing reports that we call thematic reports. Sometimes we say we say the report doing only about education. The report doing they only about health. So we're just discussing the health, looking at how the clinic situation, looking at the clinic correct, whether they giving good treatment there, whether it's accessible, because there are criteria how these facilities should be like. They should be accessible, meaning you can easily go there, right? You get me having the people living here in Cessna, then you put the clinic all the way to the place of power. You didn't have me for the boy, yeah? So that won't be enough fair. When you go to the clinic, the point the people in Cessna, maybe they're only making $50 more. They say to be treated, they may pay $1,000. They're not affordable. And maybe they may get malaria, you so get a man 2 paracetamol. For the man to get better, you want to be giving the man half paracetamol. Now that quality healthcare you're giving the man there. So all these things we take, we look at them. Then, like I was telling you about the other department that talk about policy, opinion, and everything. When the laws are not in line with human rights, We get advice the government say, look, the lawyer, the human rights, to put it, so for harmonization, you show harmonization of national law with human rights law, so we can do that. Then we talk about working with the UN. Then we have the human rights officer at Liberia here, the OSCE, according to the Office of the High Commissioner of Human Rights. So we work with them. So all UN agencies, like their program now, is being sponsored and supported by UNDP. So we work with the UN agencies. So we can work with them. And then we serve as our source of human rights education. So anything you want to know about human rights in Liberia, ask the Human Rights Commission. Ask our monitor in the country, they will tell you. You can't make it pick up the phone, call monitor, we will tell you. You want document of real human rights, you come there, we will tell you. Right? So the same way that you see the court can solve the problem. Why it's true that we get the community chairman, you can go to the community chairman can settle some of the matter, you can go to the pastor can settle some of the matter, but the court, the one the court put out say final arbiter, say put the people that say final arbiter, go to the Supreme Court there, say yeah, they can settle it. So the same with the Human Rights Commission. Why it's true you can settle some of the human rights issues with other NGOs and even in the community, but the Human Rights Commission is there. And so we try with Human Rights Commission say, we come to help you for you to help us. Now we talk about Palava Hut. Because you know, before we came to all of these places, we were solving our problem. We were solving our problem. We go on the Palava Hut, we sit down there, so when they bring the power one, we bring the power one there, we settle the matter there. They were even talking about one issue here the morning. Man, even at you, and we settle, you see, even my man, they solve the problem the morning, put the Palava, then we settle it. So all these things, like can avoid all the confusion, they avoid all the problems. Because tomorrow, let me tell you something that happened during the war. You know, you say, somebody will give you a story, you know, just a joke, how the man got killed. The other man went to the bad place, went in the community, looking for the next specifically. Yeah, because something happened between them, they were two friends, but they all met and they say, you, I will deal with you. Unfortunately for that man, they're walking. So the man went in our community, came and everybody around. Now we were hiding here, west, and Jerry was hiding. Someone at home, they all saw the man. So the next person said, I'm going to lock it. I'll see you today, I'm going to deal with you, I'm going to know. The next time you get people for you to remain there too. You get people, you don't get well for this. No, I'll go there. So what you're doing, what are you going to do to me? I'm going to put it in here. You die already. And you know some people die like that. So I'm saying we're going to solve our problem. Don't keep it. Don't keep it inside. Don't keep it inside. And the Human Rights Commission is there to help you to do all these things. Don't know, formulation of programs for teaching of human rights. Like right now, we've been working with the police to make sure that when the police go for training, they can teach the human rights there. Because the police people, the immigration, other people that are working for government, we call them duty bearers, right? Meaning they got a responsibility on them to ensure that we do it. And then we, the citizens, call ourselves the right holders on human rights. So if the man who's supposed to give you the work of arrest, the man will get the work of arrest as a right? But if the man know about ABE right, they feel do you a favor. So we are all going to the police and carry out and say no. When you go in the community, the work that you're doing, I don't feel what you're doing to people. The people are entitled to it. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah, our Human Rights Commission. You're not going to do a Human Rights Commission, but bring the nerve. I come and say, I'm going to blow for now. You call your own agreement council? So what are the air condition players? And I air condition players toward the scene. So all the human rights we talk about, we say that the things that you need to live as a human being should be given to you. It should be given to you. And there is one government there to support most of these things. And then also we say conducting free, unfettered, on-site inspection. So we can come anywhere, maybe we come here and say, oh, the pressing command are there, they torture people there. Every morning they beat the people there. So we go there. We go and check. We don't go tell the policemen will come in. We don't go down, officer, we have people who go check. You got a power. You got a power. They see what the policemen are you can't arrest for, they can't tell you your rights and everything for you, arrest you. So we go and say, we will check it. Also, well, you see the other one that we say, super motor that minute. Like I told you, who can ask you, will that guy investigate? Like you want to talk here, nobody can tell me say 2 and talk here, right? So what you are talking here today? I just go there and check that. You might have a bring complaint to me. Yeah? Oh my So what I feel one and say school more so okay, let's get on, no matter what you complain to work. And the other one that they call American school here. I'll be one and I'm like lawyer in the way. But that one means that if you get case in the court, right? If the case in the court, we know that human rights business is we go to the court. Court, we can help you. So we say in front of the court. We can help you. We have to say in the mama here. We have a human rights violation. Now what happened, how it will be. We have the court. We have go to the court and support. So we say American school here. And then we can also start there. Maybe we finish just getting to know in the whole, maybe the whole ancestors here. Every time the police can beat the girl children here. So we say we care the whole police commander, the police commander, we care the court. You have maybe comment to anything about it, right? So we go care the case to court. Human Rights Commission can do it. You can go to court, we can start the case in court. And then we can work along with civil society organizations that I talked about that I said earlier. We work with civil society organizations.